Hi guys! It has been a real hot minute since I sat and filmed anything. I'm really excited to be sitting here and filming this with you guys. So I thought it would be appropriate now that I've sort of got all the Australia footage out the way and a lot of like vlog footage, and I did my first week of university, I thought it would be appropriate to now do a life update, just to have like a casual video where I can sit and explain all the footage that you've watched. So let's get started. Let's start this video. So I obviously want to address the big elephant in the room of the fact that I posted from October of 2020 until January of 2021. And I posted every single week 2 videos, and then the posting stopped. Now I explained it a little bit in my I'm back video, which I will tag in the iCards above, but I just wasn't in a good mental space. And I remember that feeling coming over me where I was like, I need footage to edit this week and I need to film this week. And I just didn't have the energy to film it. I didn't want to sit in front of a camera and talk when I wasn't feeling good. And I decided to just take time off, and that time sort of turned into a long time. However, at that point, I just wasn't feeling comfortable to talk. I just wasn't feeling comfortable within myself, but I just wanted to explain as to what happened. Now I'm obviously back filming, and I'm, thank God, feeling so much better and so much more comfortable and ready to sit and talk to you guys. So here we are. But I have a list of questions, and I thought they would be good to sort of cover all the ground as to give a little life update. It's obviously been a year later, so a lot of things have changed. First question is give a recap of 2021. So all the things that I didn't film. So let's go. We started filming in January of 2021. January 2021 was exam time. It was like mid-year exams. It was like go, very stressful, very intense. February was my birthday where I turned 21, and at that point it was still COVID, but it was like a bit more chilled. So I went away for the weekend. I have a friend who had a birthday the same weekend as I did, so we all went away, which was a really fun weekend. At that point I was like feeling good, but I think I was still in that little fog phase. So it was fun, but I was a bit out of it. Then March was still lockdown. The lockdown sort of heightened throughout the year, and it was really difficult. So March was not a good period. I was not very happy. I think also just my whole situation resulted in me being very removed from my friends and removed from what was going on. So there was a lot of events during the year where I was like very lonely, and March was definitely a very lonely month. Then we had April. April's when I started the process of deciding that I wanted to go back to Australia. I applied to this job in April, and I got in April. So that's when we were like, oh, we're going back to Australia. May was a good month. During April, I started, as well as doing my online university, I did a 5-week intensive course at the university that I'm at now, prepping to get into the university, because I'm at a design university, you have to get in. So I started that course in April. May is when I finished that course, as well as my online university was getting more and more intense closer to exams. So finished the 5-week course in May, had a big entrance exam, and then the next week is when I started my exams for my online university. And I had my last exam, and 5 days later I flew to Australia. So it was very, very intense and very go, just get it done, like pass the exam and don't even think about it. So it was a very intense period of time, May and June. June, landed in Australia. 2 weeks of July, we did hotel quarantine. August and September, I was in Australia. Flew back here mid-September. Did all my university prep. Moved out of my parents' home in the beginning of October. Moved into my apartment, which I live in currently right now. Started university mid-October and had just been going since then. So that is the recap of 2021. It's been a very intense year. If I can describe 2021 in 3 words, it would be growth, rush, and a little bit of pain. It's been a very intense year, but I'm incredibly grateful for the journey of this year and how it's been so hectic, because I've grown as a person so much. 2021, how did quarantine affect me? So my living situation of last year, I was incredibly lucky that I decided to move home to my parents, and I loved living at home. It was such a treat having dinner ready and having my parents there, and it was so amazing. But during quarantine, I was so lucky to have my parents, but yet it was so incredibly difficult because all of my friends were living separate and they were all living together, and months would go by and I would see no one my age and talk to no one my age, and that was quarantine. We were all separated, but it was very, very difficult to always be separate and be out of it. And I've never been one to be FOMO or to struggle socially, and that huge separation really took it out of me a little bit. And quarantine wasn't good for me. I've always been a very social person, and this lack of progress and this lack of social interaction, and everyone was struggling through COVID. Everyone was, so it's hard to be upset at friends, but a lot of my friends live overseas, or they were also going through this lockdown where I just felt very unsupported and very alone. And it was very difficult to keep going with that. And so quarantine wasn't good for me. It was really, really difficult, as everyone has experienced it, I'm sure. I'm incredibly proud of myself, of how far I've come, and how in the really, really hard months, because I was so alone, I pulled myself out of all of the black holes, and that is something that I am so proud of. What am I studying? That's a good question, and I don't think I addressed this at all. So I am studying a bachelor. We refer to it as a visual communications degree. However, formally, it is an interior design degree with a specialization in graphic design and visual communications. So my classes and everything are a combination of interior design, graphic design, and communications. So it's a very interesting combination, but it's literally all of my passions. I've loved interior design since I was 5 years old. Graphic design has always come so naturally to me. It was always been my dream to design book covers. I don't know why, but that is graphic design. And it's very cool now being in a world where all of my passions and these things that I've always loved to do, they're my university work, and I get to have fun with it. It's really, a lot of people talk about university in this way of it sucks, and don't get me wrong, the degree is difficult, the work is difficult, it's hard, but I'm really loving the fact that I get to play and develop all these things that have always been passions to me. How do my living arrangements change? So I spoke a little bit about the fact that I lived at home last year, and while I really, really loved living at home, I knew that I wanted to this year live with students. Where I live, it's very, very common for people my age and people in university to not live at home, but live in apartments of students. That is what I'm doing. So where I go to university is actually about a 2-hour drive from where my parents live. So right now I'm living in a student city. Now, the way that it works is the city that I live in now was originally back in the day built around the fact that a main university was built here. So a lot of the students that live in this city go to that university. I am a complicated person, and I live in the city, but I go to university in a neighboring area. So it's about a half an hour car drive, 20-minute car drive, about an hour bus ride between the two places. So I usually take the bus. But what I love is the fact that where I live, there's a whole group of people my age living the way I live, which is really fun. And when I go to university, a whole different group of people. And I love that. I love being able to be in the two worlds, but I really am enjoying the fact that I get a taste of everything. We're getting into the juicy questions. Has my social situation changed? Okay. I'll definitely say during quarantine, when you're so alone and you have friends that you've always had around you, and all of a sudden they're in another country, or all of a sudden they're also going through things, or there's just that disconnect, whether it's physical, emotional, they're in another country, they're far away, they're not in touch. When that disconnect occurs, this attachment that you have to people sort of breaks a little bit. And I was always one to be in, I wouldn't say a group, but I always had my really good friends always around me. And when that disconnect happens, there is a little bit of an identity crisis of who am I without these people? Who am I without this situation that I've always been in since I was 3 years old? And once that disconnect happens and that break happens and I began to evolve as a person fully alone, I will definitely say my attachment to people broke, and it definitely affected the social situation. My dependence on people had to be removed because they weren't there, and my ability in which to be alone had to grow. I had to get more comfortable doing that, because otherwise I was screwed, because I was going to be alone anyway. And it was really difficult. I think at first there was a lot of pain involved when I began to grow away from people, because I had always had people that when I was now alone, I was like, what happened? Did I do something wrong? Is my development bad? What's going on here? And I think that's when the like growth of self-confidence had to kick in and be like, nope, you're good, you're just on your own path. And it was a very difficult time period when that social situation broke. But now I really feel so strong and like so independent and so able to carry my own. And when I see people, I love hanging out with everybody and it's amazing and whatever, but that dependence is not there anymore. And that ability in which to be alone and to carry myself has definitely kicked up. And it's hard to not turn in and say like, oh, is it me? Did I do something wrong? Blah, blah, blah. But I'm so grateful for the self-growth that I've gone through and that ability now that I'm so okay with, I mean, the fact that I'm talking about this with you guys, I'm so okay with everything that's gone on because I have replaced that dependence on others with dependence on self and that love of self and that appreciation for myself and what I can do for myself. And I don't need others to fuel me. The fuel that I used to pour into our friendships, I now pour into myself. But all of a sudden, this desire in which I was holding on to everything alone, and I felt alone, and I felt there was just so much pain involved in these friendships that I wasn't feeling good anymore. It was just pain all the time. That now that I've removed myself, when I want to see them and when they want to see me, it's lovely and it's great and whatever, but I understand what I deserve and I understand the friendships that I deserve, and I won't accept less than that anymore. Next question. Main goal of this year. So I guess I'm filming this in December, so we can say the main goal of 2022. I don't know. I've done a lot of self-growth this year, but I would love to keep that going, to have a very, very clear vision of self. And I know like throughout life, I'm only 21, but I understand that self-growth grows every single year and grows every single day, and I'm not going to be like at 22 I know who I am now, but I think I would love to have a clearer idea of self and a clearer understanding of my comfort zones of what I'm comfortable with, and I think that's the goal. I mean, we have, I would love to excel in university and get more comfortable in my university environment because I'm still a newbie. I'd love to get more comfortable in my living environment and meeting everybody and having that feeling of community. I'd love to develop that more. I'd love to like meet new people and make real proper good friends. I'm definitely meeting people now and I have made friends and it's really, really lovely. However, it's so different knowing someone for 2 months versus for a whole year. And I'd love if these friendships that I'm developing are able to develop and become family. Those are the friendships that I excel in when we are family, and I'd love to grow those. And that's kind of it. They're very general, but I think they're just natural. I think my main goal for 2022 is to progress in life. Progress the progression. That's my main goal. Boys. Are there any boys in my life? Okay, there's this YouTube clip of Taylor Swift and she was on Ellen and she was like, I don't have a boyfriend. I don't even have someone that I'm talking to that maybe could one day be a boyfriend. And I was like, me? No, there are no boys. It's funny because I'm definitely at the age where people are like dating and taking it very seriously and wanting to get married and all this stuff. And while that's so incredible and so amazing, I'm like not at that stage. I think people can have fun dating and that's like great. But I definitely take relationships very seriously and I'm not willing to compromise my independence right now for someone else. And I think that speaks volumes of the fact that I'm not ready to date. And I think that right now I see my life as like a bit of a mess just because I am in this like transitional period of starting university and getting used to everything going on, that I don't think I'm at the stage now where I want to bring someone else into my situation and into my mess. And I think I've come to a point where I've understood that at the age which I am, at 21, 22, everything is very temporary. And while that's amazing, I don't want to start a relationship and bring on the risk of pain with the knowledge that everything is temporary. I think that's just something that I don't feel necessary to do right now, as well as if I'm dating within my community, these are people that will live here for a few years as I will, then I don't want to have to date someone and then break up and then have to see them all the time. That's just like a risk that right now I don't really want to take. Obviously it's fun being loved and being wanted and being appreciated and in that sort of realm of things, but I think that sort of selfish boost that comes with relationships, while that side is really fun and amazing and whatever, I'm very aware of the fact that relationships are a two-way street and you need to have that mutual support to one another. And as much as it would be amazing to get home from uni and every day have a text being like, you're so beautiful, I also understand that I would have to give that back to the person. And right now I'm not in a stage where I want to do that, or I'm able to do that, or I have the energy to do that. So clearly I'm not ready. Like, someone doesn't deserve me at my half best being like, you're doing okay, hon, I'll speak to you in 3 days when I have time. So I'm not at the stage where I'm dating. Okay, so the last little bit, I just have like self-growth and self-confidence. So this past year, I think it's very clear that I've definitely grown my self-image. And I think with that growth of self-image and that growth of understanding who I am and what I deserve and my way in which to go about things, I have grown my self-confidence so much. And I think more than that, I've grown my backbone and my ability to stand for myself and hold my own. And I think it's a result of tons of things. In the end, I was able to grow and become a person that I'm actually very proud of and a huge fan of. And I think that it's a strange time period of this transitional period all the time, but I'm really excited and happy that I get to start new stages in my life as this version of myself and as this version who knows who I am and knows what I'm worth and what I deserve. I am a very sensitive person, and I used to be even more sensitive, and I used to be the type of when someone hurt me, I would just be upset about it. And now I understand that I deserve better, and I don't just stand for it, which is something that I love and something that I regularly, if someone hurts me, I'll say, hey, shut up. And it's a really fun feeling to be able to do that, and to be able to hold your own and defend yourself is something that I've never really been able to do before. And I have chosen a path in which I want to be confident and I want to be the best version of myself. And through all the work that I've done, I'm a lot closer to that person. And I'm very, very proud of that. Self-confidence, while it's a tricky beast, and would I say I have it, down? Absolutely not. But would I say I'm definitely on the journey and being closer to being the best version of myself? 100%. And that's something I'm very, very proud of. That's all the questions we have for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like these Q&As, comment down below. Also check out my TikTok and my Instagram. Make sure you subscribe, and I will see you in my next video.